going on, everybody? Brandon Schaefer here, back again with another painting adventure episode. About to hop on the bike, head out to a location. I have two locations in mind, so I'm just going to ride out and figure out which one looks best in the morning at this time of day. So let's get right into it and not waste any time. Alright, so I just made it to location. Definitely not a hard decision to make today because the location is pretty epic. Let's check out the view. Alright, so this is going to be a challenging scene, especially with my setup. The palette is in light and shadow, but this is in shadow, so it's going to be a little tricky. Usually you want this to be in complete shadow if this is. Also, I got this new medium called Neo McGilp by Gamblin. So I'm going to try this out a little bit as well and play around with it probably in the next few paintings and stuff and just see what it's like. But anyway, I'm going to start painting here and see what I can do. And this also has water with reflections, so that's going to be tricky as well. So I want these trees to be right there, I think. Which means the shoreline is down here, dips up, goes over. I'm not 100% sure about this composition, so I'm just playing around with it at first. If I don't like it, I can just wipe it down. It's not a big deal. A tree back here. I might be drawing it too large. But I'm gonna keep going with it. There's going to be reflections. This. Tree right on the edge here. This is really dark shadow. So I'm just planning out the composition still. Thinking about light and shadow. The scene is mostly light. There's a lot of shadow here right in the foreground. So it's an interesting pattern of light and shadow, not a lot of shadow. tree that comes up in the distance back here. But I like these reflections, and just like the variants here, these three trees. You know, there's a lot of different shapes, a lot of variety happening here. So I want to capture that. It's kind of what I'm going for, is this variety of shape and the reflections. It's kind of cutting the canvas in half almost, but that's okay. That's okay. You know, these are just studies, so I'm not going to worry too much about the composition right now. I can always, if I wanted, I would just move everything up or bring it down, or, you know, crop it, come in closer, or back out farther. There's a lot of different things. I'm going to start with a larger brush. And I'm going to start with these trees. There's a lot of different greens, and it's going to be challenging with the amount of greens that are in this scene. So slight change there, lighter value of green, a little cooler. That's what I'm seeing out here. Then there's more of a purpley green right there in the shadow. So I'm just placing these greens in here and just making my way through the painting, my way around the painting. Bit of light streaming right there. Some nice flowers over here in light, and right here. Some yellow grasses in the foreground. I gotta warm that up a lot though. That's better. Shadow on this tree. Back in here, there's a deep, dark shadow. slightly warmed these darker shadows because they're more toward me, they're darker, they're richer. Add a little bit back there, but mostly they're right on this edge. So it may look a little chaotic the way I'm jumping around, but I'm trying to work all over the canvas and not finish one thing. That way I can get these relationships down before finishing this tree and then finding out that it's the wrong color or it's the wrong value. So I'm just building these relationships. Oh, nice breeze today. This tree is mostly in shadow. Back here. Actually a stronger green right down here at the bottom. So I'm just worried about shapes, color, and value in this early stage. Some nice flowers right there in the light. It's also a shoreline. Maybe not quite that bright. So now I got most of the major shapes in. I just have to worry about the sky and then the reflections, which are just a lighter or darker version of what I have up here, grayer version, a little more movement. There are some oranges and things back here from flowers, so that's nice bits of color back there. Kind of draw you in. So I'm going to move to the sky so I can kind of get the relationship. I really like this Neo McGilp. It's working pretty well for me. I like definitely going to make some future videos about it and show you how I use it. I'm going to use it a little bit more though and figure it out. Okay, so I think the sky is working. I like this sky color here. If you look at some older work from like Edgar Payne and other artists, sometimes they would leave like the orange tone canvas behind the sky. You know, they wouldn't fill in the sky completely, and I kind of like that. It gives a lot more variation to the sky, some warmth to it, and it just creates a lot of movement and vibration. To the sky. So check out some of like Edgar Payne's work. He did that a lot in some of his skies. You know, he would just lay his colors in big blocks, and it was really, really cool. Need some highlights over here in the midtones, more color on this tree in the background. So this sky is almost pretty much completely filled in. Little bush over here I need to paint. And then this painting's almost done. I mean, it's getting there. It's probably about halfway done. So when I'm painting like this, I'm trying to think, okay, how can I represent a tree in the least amount of strokes possible? You know, how can I make it look like a tree but still retain the brush strokes, retain the brush marks? And then I just do the best I can with it. Doesn't always work out, but that's what I'm trying to think. So right back here, there's a little bit of trees in the distance, way far in the distance. They're pretty much blue, like a blue-gray. So I want to add those in here because it'll just add another element to this painting. Another layer of depth. It's really subtle. Getting a phone call right now, so hold on. Hello? Nothing much. Well, I guess you could say that. Doing a painting outside. Yeah. Landscape painting. My dad just called me from Mississippi. where I used to live. So caught up with him for a little bit, and now I'm back to painting. Let me figure out where I was. I think I was doing this thing in the distance here. So I'm gonna add a little bit more just over here. So that adds just a little bit more depth, and there's actually some yellow. There's a field off in the distance as well, right in front of those trees. So if I can just suggest that, it just adds a lot more depth to the painting. So now there's some, let's see, some darker bushes up here by these trees. I'm liking the orange showing through. It's really vibrant. Really like that. I don't want to forget to push this bush in here, this tree here, coming in from the side. And this basically just suggests that there's more off to the side. It doesn't just stop here. Like over here, there's more off to the side. This is just kind of the same suggestion. And I'm just going to put the tree trunk in. There's a darker tree trunk with some branches here. So just some suggestions. It also breaks up these three lines just a little bit more. Makes it a little more pleasing and not so repetitive. Even though I like these trees and I kind of made some uneven space around them. Alright, so I need to work on these reflections now. Those are important. So I'm going to start with, I believe, the sky. And the reflections are just a tad bit, they're like more, a tad bit warmer, I think. It's really tough to tell. They're almost the same value. It's a little bit darker, maybe a little more bluer, a little more warmer. It's really difficult. You have to glance really quickly to figure it out. You know, if you stare at something too long, it's hard to figure out what's going on because your eyes will adjust and you run into trouble. Did I mention that I really like this Neo McGilp stuff? I think I did, but I really like it so far. So with these reflections, I just want to paint them really loosely. Some sky holes in here. A tree. Especially right back here. So now I'm just shaping, creating a little more form, softening some edges, working it a little bit more. See, this is so straight here. So kind of bring the tree out. Cut in some of the sky inward. Some varied lines going on. So a lot of these reflections here, they're a little bit lighter. Like this whole tree is lighter than what's up here. So I'm going to attempt to show that. I'm gonna have to come back in and reshape the shore and do some things. I'm not really worried about it right now. Still thinking in terms of shape, color, value. Reflect these flowers. So really the reflections are just simplified forms of what's above it, reality. If you want to think of it that way. So the sun is definitely starting to shift, but I'm almost done with this painting here. Wow, nice noisy. You can see the difference in value here. Way darker, way lighter. You know, I can even add a little bit more darks slightly into this scene. Kind of shape this a little bit better. I'm going with a smaller brush now. Work on the shoreline a little bit. There's some rocks and things that are a little bit brighter. Add some variation to this line. There's also these same flowers, there's some right over here. Add a little more variety to these bushes here. And these grasses in the foreground. There we go. Let's kill that. Looks a little more natural. Let's fill in some of this dark over here. It's a little too red. I do like some of it, but I don't like a lot of it. Alright folks, this one's pretty much close to being done. So, hope you enjoyed this video and this painting. Actually, I missed. A little bit of turbulence right there. All right, this one's done. Alright guys, so that one was a lot of fun. It's easy when you have such a good scene to paint. It just makes it that much more enjoyable, that much more fun. But the number one reason why I do what I do is because it's so fun and I like seeing the improvements over time in my work. So if you're having trouble, just keep practicing, keep pushing on. Get outside, have fun, get some exercise, reconnect with Mother Nature, and have fun with it. Anyway, don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. Keep on painting, don't get discouraged. Take care of yourself. Peace.